is correct. What did you say?
Have you ever wondered what teaching and learning were like in the 19th century? We're about to discover the challenges and triumphs in a bygone era of education with schoolmarm Miss Hoffman, portrayed by Ellie Carlson here at the Addison Historical Museum. Let's listen in.
Texas is correct. Texas has the most land mass of any state in our country right now. Very good. All right. Now, what is the longest body of water? And by longest, I mean it's not a lake, it's not an ocean, it's what's the longest river that we have? And that you can write on your slate because I want to know if you can spell it. You know Michigan already. Got that. Oh, yeah. How about the biggest one? One that contains 10% of the entire world's reservoir. It's the biggest river. Superior? Good, that's the S. Superior. Yes, superior. That's the S. Wonderful. All right. Now, this one, I'm going to cover up the name. This one is known, it's small, it's very small, and it's known because a lot of very naughty people dump their garbage in it.
I'm here with Jocelyn and Yassi. So what did you both think of Miss Hoffman's class today?
I think she taught a class that really taught us a lot about the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty fun. We learned some things that we didn't know and now we'll be able to remember for the future.
Would you like to be at Miss Hoffman's school?
I think it would be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would.
Well, what grades are you in?
I'm going to be a junior.
Junior too.
Now, do you have any teachers like Miss Hoffman at your school?
Not really.
No, not
No.
Right. Okay.
So, we're going to do an addition question first. If you have two oranges, and your friend gives you 3 more oranges, how lucky are you? How many oranges do you now have? If you already had 2. Good, excellent job. Now we have to make the questions harder. You're a very smart class. So, if you are playing marbles on the playground, and you start with 9 marbles. You have 9 marbles in your pocket that you're playing with. And you know when you play marbles, if you lose, the other child gets to keep your marbles, right?
I'm here with Miss Hoffman. She just got done with all of her lessons for today. Miss Hoffman, there was a lot of good stuff today that you did with those kids. What kind of lessons were on the agenda?
Well, we did geography with the first group, and we taught them how to remember all of the Great Lakes. And it's the word homes, Homes. Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior. And these were very young ladies, and they are obviously from wonderful families, so they would never be in a tavern. But if they were in a tavern when they got to be older people, and there were a quiz, one of those games where everybody is answering questions, and it comes up, what are the 5 Great Lakes? Those 2 young ladies are going to remember, and they're going to know. And that's the purpose of getting a good education.
Sure is. Now, I noticed that you didn't use any textbooks with the children today. Why is that?
Well, not all of our children's families can afford to have textbooks, and so the teacher will have a school book, and then sometimes the children just do their work on a slate, or the teacher puts it up on the board. And then when it comes time to do recitations, the children are given their recitations on a heavy cardboard. I can show you one. We have them over there. And then, would you like to do a recitation? I could select a recitation for you. See, at the end of the term in the spring, when school is over, the school board and all of the parents in the community will come to the schoolhouse and we will have a program. And the purpose of the program is to show the parents and the school board that the teacher is really doing her or his job, because there are some men teachers and they make about 3 times more money than the female teachers, but there are some men teachers, and they're also allowed to be married, which we are not. We are not allowed to be married. We must be single people. And so at that presentation, the children will recite pieces that they have learned, and they have to do it in front of the school board and their parents and grandparents and siblings, and it's a show. It's entertainment.
Is that kind of like their assessment? Is that how they get assessed?
Well, it's the teacher's assessment. You see, it's the teacher's assessment, because the children will have to demonstrate. There will be a spelling bee at this program, and the children have to demonstrate how well they have done and how sophisticated their vocabulary is, and then the children will speak pieces. Let me find a piece for you to speak.
Okay.
This one has 2 parts.
Okay.
And generally there would be another little boy that would read the second part. So if we have another little boy come up, he could read the second part. But you're going to read the first part. And don't worry about these numbers, just read it fluid, flowing, read the whole story, and don't worry about these words. Those are the vocabulary words that are contained in this story.
Okay.
So read that story and remember, the school board is out in the audience, and your parents, and maybe your grandma and grandpa, and your aunts and uncles, they're all there. So don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
I'm a little nervous,
but
okay.
My job depends on how well you do at this.
Okay, here we go. George Eliot had a fine New Year's gift. What do you think it was? A bright silver dollar. A merry boy was George. He thought of all the fine things he might buy with it. When the sun began to warm the air, he put on his cap and ran into the street. The ground was covered with snow, but the sun shone out, and everything looked bright. As George went skipping along, he met some boys throwing snowballs. This is fine sport, and George was soon as busy as the rest. See how he gathers up the snow and presses it between his hands? Now he has hit James Mason, but the ball was soft, and James is not hurt. Now he has made another ball, and if James does not dodge, George will hit him again. Away goes the ball, but it missed James and broke a window on the other side of the street. George feared that someone would come out of the house and whip him, so he ran off as fast as he could. As soon as he got round the next corner, he stopped because he was very sorry for what he had done. Just then he saw a man with a box full of pretty toys. As George was only 8 years old, he soon forgot the broken window and ran after the toy man.
Would you like to read the second part? We have to know what happens, right?
Yes, we do. George was about to buy a little house with doors and chimneys, but as he felt in his pocket for the money, he thought of the broken window. He said to himself, I have no right to spend this dollar for a toy house. I ought to go back and pay for the glass I broke with my snowball. So he gave back the house and turned round, but he was afraid of being scolded or beaten and did not know what to do. He went up and down the street and felt very badly. He wished very much to buy something nice. He also wished to pay for the broken glass. At last he said, it was wrong to break the window, though I did not mean to do it. I will go and pay for it at once. If it takes all my money, I will try not to be sorry. I do not think the man will hurt me if I pay for the mischief I have done. He then started off and felt much happier for having made up his mind to do what was right. He rang the doorbell. When the man came out, George said, "Sir, I threw a snowball through your window, but I did not intend to do it. I'm very sorry and wish to pay you. Here is the $1 my father gave me as a New Year's gift." The man took the $1 and asked George if he had any more money. George said he had not. "Well," he said, "this will be enough."
Isn't that a good lesson
It
that
sure
George
is.
had for if you're irresponsible and you make a mistake, even if it's not your fault and not on purpose, you have to pay for your mistake. And I'm sure that when George grew up, he never forgot that. These are the sorts of lessons that are in the recitations. And when the children come up in front of all of their parents and the school board, they all make recitations like that. We have ones for boys and ones for girls, and they all have a lesson to them. They have a moral lesson to them to encourage the children to make the right decisions when they grow up and become adults.
And how do the students work on their reading when books are so expensive in these times?
Well, we have small pieces that are on cardboard, that are on heavy board, and they can work on them on heavy board. And then there will be sometimes 20 or 30, if you have a large community, students in the same classroom, and they will be from 4 or 5 years old all the way up to 8th grade, which is graduation, 8th grade. We generally don't have many boys as old as 8th grade because they're doing work on the farm and in the factories and in the mills and whatever it is that their fathers do. We sometimes get the girls that long, and when we do, like for me, I was able to go all the way through school, and then I took the test to become a teacher when I was 16. And so that's how I became a teacher. And the older children will share their books with the younger children. And when I'm teaching, maybe I'm teaching arithmetic to the very youngest ones, then the older students will help teach the middle students, and they'll share their books, and that's how we do it.
Is there a big parental involvement in the children's education? Are parents kind of seeing?
We're happy if they pack them a lunch. That's a good thing when they pack them a lunch. We like that. Some families don't have anything to pack for the children, and I always encourage my children to share. And I don't live with a family anymore, but when I was a young teacher, I always lived with a family in the community. And so, for instance, if I lived with a family that had an apple orchard, in the fall, I might get a lot of apples, and I could take those apples to school and give them out to the children that didn't have any lunch packed for them. And so we do that. But as far as parental involvement, no, unless it's a naughty older boy. Now, some teachers, I do not do this, some teachers will take a buggy whip to some of the older boys if they misbehave. And if the teacher is small of stature, as I am, and she doesn't feel like she can force the young boy, because some of those 8th grade boys can be this big. They can be as big as you. They can be very big. And so sometimes we might have to put the word out that the father or the grandfather or the uncle needs to come and help the teacher. But for the most part, if the teacher is kind and fair, then there won't be any problem with the students because they're happy to be there. They want to be in school. They want to get an education, and their families want them to have an education so they can better themselves in the world.
What is the biggest challenge you face with your students?
I think the biggest challenge is when the family needs them at home. If the mother has a new baby and she needs the oldest daughter to stay home and help her with the new baby, or the younger children while she's taking care of the brand new baby, that means that young woman is going to miss school for sometimes maybe even forever. She might have to stay home from age 10 or 12 because her family just can't spare her. And I think that's the biggest challenge. I think if more families would send all of their children to school, and some families decide, the parents decide, well, this child is smarter than this child, and so I'm going to send this child to school and not this child. And sometimes that's not the case because the parents don't really understand education, and everyone can benefit from a good education. Everyone can.
Do you find that you have more boys than girls in your classes?
It's about even in the younger grades. And then in the older grades, once they're 10, 12, even 14 years old, it will most exclusively be the girls because the boys are helping in their father's business, on the farm. They've gone out to apprentice to someone. They might apprentice to a shoemaker or a locksmith or a cabinet maker or something like that. Once they're 14, they're old enough to apprentice and they don't go to school anymore. But I've taught them their arithmetic and their geography, so they have enough knowledge to go on with their lives. I hope. That is my goal, is to give them enough knowledge however long they get to be in the classroom.
Well, on behalf of our community, Ms. Hoffman, thank you for your dedication and commitment to our future leaders.
And thank you for having me, and please put in a good word for me with the school board. I'd like to keep my post.
For sure. Thank you. So what's your name?
My name is Julia.
My name is Victoria. Joseph.
How was Ms. Hoffman's class today?
It was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Oh, great. All right. Is she different than the teacher that you have at school?
No.
Maybe a little? No? She's
No.
kind of different? No?
Yes.
She's different? Yeah.
Yes.
How come?
She wears like different clothes. And she sometimes, she only wears different clothes. And she's older than my teacher.
She's older than you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you wish you had Miss Hoffman as your teacher, or do you want your current teacher for the fall?
Miss Huffman.
You want Miss Hoffman, really? Oh,
Yeah,
you
Miss
too?
Hoffman.
You
Me
do
too.
All right. Now, could you do us a favor and look into the camera and tell everyone thank you for watching?
Thank you for watching.